Richmond. I'm the Communications and Public Affairs Specialist at the Advisory Council on Historic Preservation. Thanks for joining us live here at Tuskegee University in Tuskegee, Alabama. Joining me today is Dana Chandler. He is the University Archivist. And Dana, yesterday I took a wonderful walking tour of the university's campus, and I saw so many amazing historic buildings. Can you tell me how they came to be?
Sure, we can talk about that. Tuskegee University began July 4th, 1881 through the efforts of two gentlemen, a former slave whose name was Lewis Adams, and a former slave owner, George W. Campbell. The state of Alabama actually paid for the campus to begin in July 4th, 1881. And Booker T. Washington's vision came about, he was only 26 years old when he came here.
Wow.
And he was chosen by the Campbell and Lewis to come here to work as the first principal. And Booker T. Washington had a vision, and that vision was to provide a school where we could have people taught to be teachers of others. So we were teaching teachers to teach others. Mm-hmm. And he employed some of the best minds of his time. And the buildings here are really interesting. We had the first African American to graduate from MIT with an architect's degree, Robert R. Taylor. And Robert R. Taylor, he came down here to design and oversee the construction of many of the buildings here. And the buildings were built using labor from the students. The bricks were made by the students. The plumbing, the electrical, whatever was done by the students. And the buildings here, they range from multi-story to single-story facilities. They are everything from Tompkins Hall, which is our original cafeteria, to Dorothy Hall, to the areas where the students worked, which the Emorys, where they stayed, Wilcox buildings where they worked, and to this building. And we're standing in front of the Infantile Paralysis Center. It's now the Tuskegee Legacy Museum. The Infantile Paralysis Center was the first building built using funds from the March of Dimes, known then as the National Foundation for Infantile Paralysis. It's the only building that they ever paid for, and it's the only place in America, if you were African American and had polio, you came here for treatment. So, and you're standing, and it's adjacent to the John A. Kennedy Hospital, or the John A. Andrews Memorial Hospital, which was the first hospital for African Americans in the state of Alabama.
Oh, wow. So how many of the original buildings from the beginning of the university are still in use today?
Roughly 12 buildings, that are still in use today.
What is being done to preserve these buildings, to ensure that they last into the future?
We're doing a lot of things. We're working diligently to update them, to renovate them, and to help with the use of those buildings so that it can be restored for use by the students. Our architecture department, which is interestingly named after Robert R. Taylor, School of Architecture, they're instituting a program to work with renovating these buildings. And so it's really an interesting situation, as many HBCUs are dealing with problems of funding. And we have this backlog of upkeep that is pretty substantial. And so funding is an issue always.
So are the students taught about this rich history, and how do they feel about the going to classes and living and doing all their daily lives in these historic buildings?
I think that's what draws the students here. It's known as the Tuskegee Spirit, and it pulls students from all across the nation to come here, to go to school, to be a part of this rich historical legacy that we call Tuskegee University.
That's wonderful. So it's great for the students, great for the parents, but can anybody come here and visit and see these beautiful buildings?
Oh, of course. And, I encourage everybody to come here. This facility, this university, is the only university where the majority of the buildings, the older buildings, are part of a national park. The National Park Service actually provides tours to many of the campus buildings, and we have students here, ambassadors, that do a really good job of giving a tour of the facilities. It's a rich history here. You can come see the Tuskegee Airmen Museum. You can see the George Washington Carver Museum. You can see the Oaks, the home of Booker T. Washington. And then you can see these wonderful buildings. And some of these buildings still have bricks on them that were handmade bricks. And you can see fingerprints in those bricks of the students that made them.
Oh, that is amazing. So why is it important to preserve historic buildings such as these?
Because what they do is they give us some insight into students, to administrations, to people, and what they held dear. Too often we think about students as incapable of doing things, They get a bad rap. They really do. And they're very, very talented and very good at what they do. And they take a lot of pride in it. And that pride shows in these buildings and shows in the students that we have today. So these structures, maintaining these structures, especially at these HBCUs, which are historically black colleges and universities, is important because it speaks to the legacy that during a time of segregation and laws that were meant to regulate them and keep them under control, those things, it shows what they were able to do. Even under this much overburden, they're able to be successful and to accomplish things. And these kids that went to school here during that time went on to do other things, important things, all over the nation.
Oh, thank you so much, Dana. I really appreciate you joining us. May is National Historic Preservation Month, and we're really, really pleased to be here at Tuskegee University. We're actually running a photo contest right now for National Historic Preservation Month. You just have to tag us with the hashtag MyHistoricPlace and at USACHP. Enter your photo. Go to our website to find out more about the photo contest. So again, Dana Chandler, University Archivist, thanks for joining us from Tuskegee, Alabama.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Lynn.
Thank you.